It being 5 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. 5:30, I mean. Roll call's been taken. If there's any supervisors here that want per diem, they should get hold of me after the meeting to sign up. Review the role of Dodge County per Karen. Karen is going to do that?
Yep.
Where is she?
Right behind me.
Efficient. All right. Just wanted to take a couple minutes, and the mic is not on. Better? No? How about that? Better?
That's better.
And I'm going to back up a little bit because just so everyone's aware, when you're speaking at the mic, if you get too close to these other mics, you get feedback. So back up a little bit. Just wanted to take a couple minutes to review with the committee the role of the county in the Lake District process. As you know, according to statute, lake districts can be formed or created for purposes of undertaking rehabilitation and protection of a lake in the county or parts of the lake. Your next agenda item is Mr. Eggleston. He's present today, and I'm not going to cover, or try not to cover, what he's going to cover in his presentation. He's going to talk about the powers of the Lake District in general. So for the county's part, according to statute 33.24, a county may be petitioned to, a county board that is, may be petitioned to establish a lake district in the county. Certain conditions under the statute 33.26 need to be met. So for the county's part, again, when a petition is presented to the county clerk, the county board of supervisors, as required by the statute, need to designate a committee to conduct a public hearing and to also review the petition and make a report to the county board. A petition here was filed with the county clerk on September 10th. And as you know from your county board meeting on September 17th, the county board at that time, at its regular meeting, did assign the Land Resources and Parks Committee, I almost goofed up on that name, the Land Resources and Parks Committee, to conduct a public hearing. And on that same night, September 17th, this meeting date and public hearing date was selected, and public notice was given and posted and published. So that fits within the time frame. The public hearing needs to be conducted within 30 days of the presentation of the petition. We're here tonight, that fits within the 30-day window. So at today's hearing, or tonight's hearing, all interested persons may offer objections, criticisms, or suggestions as to the necessity of the proposed district, and as to the question of whether or not the property or their property will be benefited by the establishment of the district. As everyone walked in today, there are tables out in the hallway. Anyone wishing to speak during the public hearing section of the meeting should sign up and put the slip in the box that's out there. I know that many people came in and decided that, or they were on the fence about speaking. The tables will be set up for the balance of this evening, and if they change their mind, they can certainly go out there, fill out a slip, and they will be called to the mic to give a statement. Tonight's purpose, and your purpose tonight, is to conduct the public hearing. There will be no decisions made tonight. The committee will then, after the public hearing is closed, of course, the committee will then adjourn or go into your regular committee meeting and then select a date for next steps. So within 6 months of today's hearing, the county board needs to issue its order either approving the petition or denying the petition. The county board's order will be based on findings that it will need to make within the statute, and that statute is 33.26 in parens. And I just want to quickly go over what those findings will need to be made by the county board. The county board will need to determine that the petition is signed by the requisite number of owners in the proposed district. County Board will also have to make a determination as to whether or not the proposed district is necessary, that the public health, comfort, convenience, necessity, or public welfare will be promoted by the establishment of the district, and that property to be included in the district will be benefited by the establishment of the district. So those are certain findings the County Board will need to make. Those findings will be made after you submit your report to the County Board. Again, that has to be done within 3 months of today's hearing. And the findings will be based on your report to the County Board as well as any other evidence that is submitted to it. The County Board will act in the form of a resolution as to what it determines with regard to the petition. And the County Board needs to take its action within 6 months of tonight's hearing. So after the County Board, if it determines by resolution and orders the establishment of a district, the County Board will then also appoint the initial Board of Commissioners for the district. And the Board of Commissioners needs to consist of 3 owners within the district. One of them has to actually be a resident of the district. All of the information that I mentioned is in the statute, and that's in Chapter 33 of the Wisconsin statutes. There's a link on the county's website to sub-chapter 4 of the statutes. There's also a link on the county's website to a number of pieces of or documents, resource information, if anyone is present tonight and wants to look at, take a look at the County Board website or the county website. There is a guide that's on the website, as well as the public hearing notice and other things with regard to the district. So just wanted to address the committee and thank you for your time, and address the committee and just let the committee know what the role is of tonight's meeting and tonight's public hearing and the role of the county in general. County Board is really facilitator of this process and ultimately will issue an order, either approving or denying the petition.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kim. Next, we have a presentation by Michael Engelson. He's from the Wisconsin Lake Executive Director. What is the Lake District?
Well, thank you to the committee for inviting me to speak tonight. Thanks to everybody that has shown up. Sorry for being right on top of some of you. I'll try to move around so that I'm not completely on top of you all the time. My name is Mike Engelson, so I'm the Executive Director of Wisconsin Lakes. Wisconsin Lakes is a statewide nonprofit conservation organization and is also the association of lake associations and lake districts for the state. So our membership is made up of lake organizations and individuals who are interested in protecting, preserving, and enhancing the lake resources of the state. We've been around for over 25 years now, and we're part of a unique in the nation partnership, which we call the Wisconsin Lakes Partnership, that is made up of us, the UW Extension Lakes Program, which is based out of the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, and the Department of Natural Resources. So we all kind of work together to help support lake organizations all across the state. I need more hands, obviously. So we're based out of, well, I like to say that we're based out of Sun Prairie. Our office is in Sun Prairie, and I live in Sun Prairie. That way I don't have to say that we're a Madison organization, because some places I go, that's like, so you can find us in Sun Prairie if you ever head down 151. So I'm going to talk about lake districts, but I want to start by backing out a little bit and talk about lake organizations in general. So in Wisconsin, we have about, at last count, around 800 lake organizations. About 562 of those are associations, and we have been able to find 242 that are lake districts. Lake organizations are typically organized by people that live on or near the lake, usually with a conservation or a preservation of the lake environment focus, which is why we have a conservation focus to what we do as an organization as well. So lake organizations communicate to the people that live on and around the lake, to the public, to policymakers. They can conduct research. They do monitoring, so they oftentimes collect data that they can then give to the state to help guide state policy and help the lake group itself in its management of the local lake. Of course, they have to raise funds to do that, so that is often a critical and crucial part of what they're doing. And lake organizations advocate for policies that work, that help them protect their lakes. So there are two kinds of lake organizations, essentially, associations and districts, and I'll talk a little bit now about the difference between the two. So a lake association is a nonprofit organization. Just like we're a nonprofit organization, or a Boy Scout troop, the American Heart Association, there are lots of examples of nonprofit associations. A lake district, on the other hand, is a special purpose unit of governance. It's somewhat like a school board in the way it's conceived. And it comes out of Chapter 33. It's statutorily authorized by the legislature. It was passed in 1974 for the purpose of helping with lake preservation and lake management. Lake associations and lake districts both fundraise. Lake associations do it by asking their members and others for money, applying for grants. Lake districts also apply for grants, and a large part of lake district financing is often through grant programs. But districts also, as a unit of government, have the ability to levy a tax which goes on the property bill, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Lake associations, the membership is voluntary. No one can be forced to be in a lake association. With the district, anyone that lives within the district or owns property within the district is part of the district, basically. Both have limited regulatory authority, but districts have the ability to have given to them by a local unit of government the ability to pass voter regulations. So if there are voting regulations that need to be looked at, an ordinance can sometimes be passed by a district. Lake associations have more limited public accountability than lake districts because they are essentially a private entity. They're run by its members, whereas a district, as a governmental entity, is responsible to everyone in the district. So as I said, there are about 242 lake districts in the state. Waushara and Waukesha counties, I don't feel badly that I have my back turned to you all the time. Waushara and Waukesha counties have both the most in the state, with 20 districts in their county. District budgets vary a lot. The total of all districts in 2018 ran around $9 million, but about 60 of those levied no tax at all, because in that particular year they either had money from a grant source or they were not doing anything that resulted in them raising any money, or the members of the district voted for whatever reason not to do that. There are only 22 districts with budgets that are over $100,000 a year. So most of the districts in the state have projects that don't run over 100K. And I'm not sure if that 100K figure includes grant monies or if that's a levy. I think that probably includes grant monies. All of that begs the question, right? Why would you want to form a lake district if a lake association is there? There are a number of reasons why this has been taken advantage of over 200 times across the state. One is there might be a dam on the lake and there's a management or repair issue, and in order to maintain and repair that dam and have adequate funding to do it, the residents form a district and manage the dam. That was historically the main reason why districts were formed. In more recent years, bigger lake management issues are what have caused districts to become more prevalent. Even in the north, where we didn't see them very much, aquatic invasive species issues. So if you have infestations of invasive plants or animals is a reason that is often cited for why a district is formed. Water quality issues of all types are often reasons. Sometimes they're formed on lakes where there is no active organization at all. Sometimes an association, like I believe is the case here, decided that it would be able to better manage the lake in the form of a district. And one of the reasons that sometimes happens is because districts provide more stable funding. Instead of the association model where you have to go to people every year and say, please give us money. I do this all the time. You don't know, from year to year there can be fluctuations in that revenue stream. With the Lake District, it evens it out because you can, if necessary, get that money from the property tax. It also evens the playing field so that all the properties that are impacted and benefited by whatever action is being taken on the lake, the idea being that a higher quality water really means higher quality property values, and there are studies that can show that spreads that cost out. Now that's a decision that the area has to make, and that's why you all are here and why the county is doing what it is doing. And if I run way over time, please just let me know. I'm not going to go through the process of how we got here. I think that already got covered. I think most people in the room know that the petition was circulated, and this is the next step, this hearing, and we've already heard what the county has to decide on. So I'll talk a little bit about that financing piece of how lake districts get their money, because I think that's always something that is of great interest to people. So there are three ways that the district can levy a tax. One is through just a general property tax that's limited to $2.5 million. That's usually used for operating expenses and for like the main project of the district. Maybe if it's weed harvesting, that money might be appropriated through that system. Sometimes there are special charges for a particular property that the district has to help get something done. So that's really designed for activities with temporary benefits to individual properties. And then for very large, longer-term projects, there are special assessments. It's very much like property tax assessments and all the other kind of things that do property tax assessments, school districts and counties and cities and whatnot. But then, like I said, an important piece of funding is grants, especially grants that come from the Department of Natural Resources. So DNR has a pot of money called the Surface Water Grant Program, where qualified entities can apply for grants for aquatic invasive species prevention and control, for lake management planning and lake management plan implementation. Lake associations can apply and do get those grants, but they have a lot more hoops to go through. They have to be what's called a qualified lake association. Lake districts automatically qualify, are automatically eligible to apply for lake grants. And many of the projects that lake districts do are funded through those lake grants. So how is a lake district governed? There are basically two groups that control what happens in the district. On the day-to-day basis, there is a board of commissioners, and I'll get into that in more detail in a moment. But who really makes the decisions, especially about funding and especially about taxing and projects and the budget, is the people that vote and own property in the district. There's an annual meeting every year. And at that annual meeting, a budget is presented by the Board of Commissioners, which can be amended by the voters that come to that meeting. That's passed, that's what the Board of Commissioners works on for the rest of the year. They can't allocate, they can't appropriate extra funds, they have to work within that budget. Special meetings can also be called by the electors and the property owners in the district over the course of the year if necessary, and certain things can happen at those. So there is a lot of oversight and accountability in the people that live in the district. It's not like there's this district and there's one governing body that makes all of the decisions. They do run the day-to-day operations and have some leeway in determining how the funds are spent on the line item that it has been assigned to, but they can't suddenly, make a $2,500 line item $5,000. So that Board of Commissioners is made up of either 5 or 7 commissioners. 2 are appointed, and either 3 or 5 are elected by the Lake District. Of the elected, 1 has to be a resident of the district unless no resident wants to participate on the Board of Commissioners, and then that provision can be waived. But if there's a resident that wants to be on the board, they almost automatically get to be on the board. The appointed commissioners are 1 appointed by the county. That can be a representative from the county government, or it could be really anybody that the county appoints. The second appointed member of the Board of Commissioners is from the local municipality that has the largest value in the district, so it's usually a town. And that representative either has to be an elected official from the town or a property owner in the district with a preference for it being a resident. And that's all defined by statute in Chapter 33. So the commissioners they chair the meetings, they do all the things that you would expect a board would do. They're required by statute to meet quarterly, and that doesn't include that annual meeting. Again, they're the ones that propose what the annual budget is. Because they are elected officials in a governmental body, they are required to follow open meetings laws, public records laws, and then in Chapter 33, there are budget and accounting provisions that they have to follow. So that's different from a lake association, which lake associations don't follow open meeting laws. They may, but they don't have to. They're not required to. They're not bound by public record laws and the like. Let me skip forward a few. So the annual meeting, at the annual meeting, the budget is presented. Any other matters that have been put on the agenda are brought forth, and there's the election of the commissioners for the next year. Commissioners are staggered in 3-year terms, so generally you're only voting on 1 or 2 commissioners, so there's not turnover of an entire board in a single year. If a commissioner should resign, there's an appointment process that occurs. So lake districts, as far as things that districts can do, they can do lake management activities, so they can create a plan and do, lake management activities can include things like taking action to control nuisance weed growths, participate in aquatic invasive species prevention programs, all of those sorts of things. Districts can purchase land for conservation purposes and can often get grants from even other sources for that. They may purchase land, they may purchase conservation easements, something like that. And as I said, they can do voting ordinances if power has been given to them by a local government. So that's kind of a very quick overview of, maybe not as quick as we would like, but a very quick overview of what lake districts can do, and I'm happy to answer specific questions about anything, because I'm sure there will be some.
If there are any questions, just on the presentation, okay?
Who owns the dam? Once this goes through?
So,
Excuse
I-
me,
Wait
excuse
a
me,
Wait,
you need to state your name, sir, before you speak, so I'm not
Okay.
just putting,
Greg Hine,
thank you.
I just want to know, you said something about dam. Who owns the dam then once the Lake District is formed?
Sure, so, I should make clear, I'm not here to talk about I don't actually know any of the specific facts of the situation here. So, I literally don't know who owns the dam. or
City of
any of that.
Beaver Dam, and we pay the city.
Your name?
wait,
Go forward. So the city of Beaver Dam owns the dam.
So the city owns the dam. So just because the Lake District is created doesn't mean that they automatically take control of the dam. That was just an example of things of what Lake Districts sometimes do and why they're sometimes not.
stand up and state your name, please.
Hi, Cindy Gordon. You had mentioned that there are multiple commissioners for the district, and I'd like to know, do any of the commissioners receive financial funding for the position?
Not necessarily. I believe they can. The district can decide to provide compensation for time served on the commission. I honestly am not sure how many districts actually do that. I don't believe it's a whole lot. Most of the commissioners that serve on a voluntary basis, like you would on an association board.
If the district would choose to fund a commissioner, would it have to be reported and voted on?
Yes, that would be part of the budget, just like anything else. So that would be something that would be decided by the district body.
All right, thank you.
Dave Monroe, who controls the level on the lake? The city of Beaver Dam control the water table?
Well, again, I can't answer questions about the local situation here, and it really depends on the facts of a particular district as to who actually controls it.
Go forward, it's the city of Beaver Dam, but the dam control order set up by the DNR.
So it's the city of Beaver Dam, and it's actually controlled by a flow order that the Department of Natural Resources sets. Regardless of where you are in the state, DNR probably has a flow order on a dam, so, back there, maybe?
Dan Lyons.
Sorry?
Wait, she didn't hear you.
I didn't hear
We,
you.
we have.
Dave Lyons. The commissioners pick the projects that are gonna be used for money, right? But then are those projects brought in front of the public to vote on, or do just the commissioners vote on the projects?
Yeah, so the, anything that's gonna have a cost will have to be approved through the budget process, which is done at the annual meeting where anybody that from the district can come and vote on that. So the commissioners will, let's say that there's a aquatic plant management program that needs to happen. So the commissioners will say, here's what we need for aquatic plant management, here's how much it's gonna cost, we put that in the budget. At the meeting, the district members could vote to amend that budget to take that out. They could vote to amend the budget to increase the amount that's allocated to that project, or they could amend the budget to put in their own, if they had a plant aquatic management project they wanted to do, they could amend the budget to put that in at that time.
One other thing, I know there's big concern on the mill rate, and the mill rate could be up to 2.5%.
Mhm.
But is it my understanding that mill rate is tax deductible?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. I mean, it's treated in the same way that any property tax is treated, so that to the extent that,
It is that, yeah.
yeah, other property taxes are deductible. Let's go, you,
Yeah, Dan Bain. Right now, it's the city of Beaver Dam is the owner of the dam. What happens if that dam fails 5-10 years from now? They were gonna say, okay, now the Lake District owns it.
yeah, I don't think the city could just declare that the district owns it. The district would have to vote to take it over.
Well, if the city isn't gonna repair it, the district would have to.
Actually, they wouldn't have to. I mean, they could just let it be in disrepair, and I actually think there are a couple of instances where that has happened in this state, which is not probably great from a safety standpoint, but, so the district would have control over whether it decided, what to do.
David. I'd like to know, is there a mandate for audit of the books for the district?
Yes. Every year, the books have to be audited, and that audit has to be presented at the annual meeting. Thanks, that's a good question.
To get, Dan Lyons, to get a general idea, for some of these people, what it's gonna cost each property owner, what is the average mill rate assessment? It can be up to 2.5%, but typically that's not the case. A lot of times it's 0.5%.
Yeah, I actually,
So overall, what about is the average that you've come in?
I have tried to figure that out, and honestly, the way the state record, the way the records that we've been able to get from the state are, it's kind of, I don't have a good figure for that. Most districts don't go all the way up to 2.5 though. Most are minimal. Like I said, you know, there's 60 or something that don't have any tax at all.
Yeah, is the minimum that they go, is it 0.5, or is things gonna be less than that? Because I know a lot of property owners are concerned about the amount of taxes that are gonna be included in their tax bill. So for them to get a better idea what it's gonna cost, it'd be beneficial if we could have a mill rate, you know, what the mill rate was gonna be typically, for these 242 lake districts.
Yeah, and I unfortunately, I just don't have that information
Take a guess.
right now. I wouldn't even want to guess, I guess, because the data I've seen doesn't really break it out that way very clearly. I can try to look up what I have when I'm done here, and maybe we can get that information out later.
And that specific mill rate is determined by the Board of Commissioners for what they want for a budget?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
The annual meeting.
At the annual meeting, yes. So the Board of Commissioners will ask for that mill rate, and then the district will vote whether or not they're okay with that.
John Niels, is it true then that there can be no assessment or money at all without approval of the district? So there is no minimum. You know, you don't walk into a lake district and all of a sudden you have a minimum amount of money that you have to pay.
Correct. There are some districts, like I said, there are 60 districts in the state that last year did not charge their property owners.
So no minimum required.
Correct.
Okay. And then we keep talking about budget, budget, budget. There will not be a budget unless there are projects which are approved and the money's set out in front of everybody. And then they vote. And that's where the budget comes from. It's not like the directors can just say, this is our budget for the year, and we'll find out something to do with it.
Yep.
Nothing can be spent without the approval of the district.
Yes. Yes.
Ellen Reed Snyder. I just want to confirm, is it only one vote allowed per property at the annual meeting for the budget?
That's actually a really interesting question. I was actually just having that discussion with someone from a different district today. So yes, it's a government election just like any other election. So it's one vote, one person. What's different about Lake District elections is that it's not just the electors, so it's not just the registered voters in the district that can vote. It's also property owners that can vote. So if you, let's say there's a lake district in northern Wisconsin, you've got 3 cabins where the owners are from Illinois, they can vote in the lake district, voting if they attend the lake district meeting. They have to be there, so you have to be there. And you only get one vote. So even though you might be a property owner and an elector, it doesn't mean you get 2 votes in that instance. If the property is owned by a trust, the trust can identify a person that can vote, but the trust only gets 1 vote. Companies only get 1 vote. What's sometimes confusing though is that renters, if they're registered to vote, renters get to vote. So it's a little bit complicated, but if you think of it this way, there are certain things that qualify you to get a ticket to vote. You can only get 1 ticket.
So husband and wife, they each get 1 vote or 1 per property?
It depends. So if the husband and wife both live there, and vote in the district, like vote for other offices in the district, then definitely they both get a vote. Under the statutes, if husband and wife are both named on the deed of property, or on the tax records for the property, then each get a vote. So anyone that's named on the property tax bill gets a vote. And if you can show that you're actually, say the deed says husband and spouse, then both get to vote.
Diana Trapp. Okay, if a husband and wife can each get a vote, then if we have a trust, the trustee gets to vote and the other person can vote because they're a registered voter?
Yes, in that case, they would both get to vote because they're registered voters. There's actually a bit of gray area as to whether, so let's say that I'm on the board of a trust and the trust has designated me as the person to vote. That's really a vote for the trust. The question then is, if I also own property, do I get a second vote for myself? That's a little unclear under the statute, but.
Because otherwise it's not fair with the trust that you only get one vote, but you both may be on the trust.
Yeah, I can completely understand that's a thing with trust that maybe sometimes people don't, that's not something that you would necessarily think of, but the idea is that it's a single entity, just like a business, an LLC, or a corporation that now owns that property, and so that entity just gets a single vote.
Randy Reeve Snyder, that's not what we were told at some of the other meetings and stuff there. We were told that there's one vote per property. So how many other things are going to be different as we get going along here? We asked that question, right, Bill?
I don't know who told you what, but I know that my reading of what the law says and what we teach in the partnership to our member districts, which is not always followed, which is why I was having had this discussion earlier today, is that it really is, it's like, so the statute lays out a certain number of ways you can qualify to get a vote at an annual meeting. If you meet one of those qualifications, you get a ticket to vote, but you can't get, you don't vote, you don't get 2 votes for county board, you don't get 2 votes for state office, you don't get 2 votes for president, you don't get 2 votes in your district.
Bill, I'm Mike. I think we'll get going with our public hearing.
Okay, great,
So-
sure. Well, thank you so much. I'll be hanging around a little bit, so I can answer some other questions later.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Okay, we have a presentation. Beaver Dam Lake Improvement Association, all right?
Good evening. My name's Bill Foley. I'm a resident of the town of Beaver Dam. And I'm going to offer for the committee's consideration some background information on Beaver Dam Lake. Beaver Dam Lake has a surface area of 6,500 acres. Has a mean depth of about 4.5 feet, except after the rains of this week, probably 5 feet. But normally it's at 4.5 feet depth. There are 800 residential properties on Beaver Dam Lake. The value of those properties, $182 million. And there are projected 26 new homes to go on there over the next 2 years. There are 2,000 people that live on Beaver Dam Lake. 2,000 people live, that's their home. People live in the city of Beaver Dam or the 5 townships. The city of Beaver Dam provides some monies for aeration and managing the lake through the Lake Development Corporation. The townships do not participate in lake management. There is no single voice from any of the municipalities or the townships that speak for Beaver Dam Lake. The association has been the long-term single source to plan and implement work on Beaver Dam Lake. It has been a spotty past history where it'd be very active sometimes, not so active in other years. So that's part of the issue with associations. Challenges on the lake. The EPA has identified Beaver Dam Lake and Beaver Creek on the 303 impaired list for phosphorus, level of phosphorus. algae growth and impaired habitat. So what the phosphorus is and the algae growth that impacts the habitat to affect the fish and the fowl. So the area that the fish and the wildlife can live in and brood in is gone. It's eaten up through natural algae that grows that deteriorates and affects the area that the wildlife can grow in. This is caused by nutrient runoff from the ground, from the fields, from residential, from the roads, and from the high density of carp in the lake right now that consume the legacy phosphorus at the bottom of the lake. They consume that phosphorus that's been deposited over years, process it, and put it back into the water column as phosphorus. The last area is erosion, shoreline erosion that takes the sediment, the soil, and the nutrients enclosed in that and put that into the lake. So between the carp, the erosion, and runoff, the phosphorus in the lake increases, causing the algae to increase as well. The last area that is not part of the nutrient balance is the invasive species of plants out there. We see in the spring now, curly weed pondfoil now processing in the lake from May through June, and it really clogs up the bays and the shoreline. The maintenance of the lake is critical to the people that live around it. They fish, they boat, they hunt, and they live in that area. So they deserve a clean lake. We have Karen and Bill that will follow up with additional information.
Thank you, Karen Huber, H-U-B-E-R. Why do we think we should support a lake district? We've already talked about the benefits of all the voices that would be heard by being the property owners. Over 800 property owners in the lake district area that we proposed. Currently, if you look at the association, we have about 400 members, and only about half those folks are part of the property owners around the lake. So only 200 of the 800 are currently, we're not getting their voices of what they want to hear. They're not participating necessarily to help us know what the needs are and what they want to have in our lake. With this and the homeowners association, now everybody participates in the budget process, in the approval and the priority of the projects that are going to be run. As you heard earlier also, the Lake District is automatically considered a stable funding organization so that we can get the grants that we need to address the 4 issues that we've seen historically on this lake. And without a strong district, we'll continue to see deterioration, and it'll impact that $182 million of property value. And if everybody's property values go down by a third, that takes it for our townships and our city down to about $122 million of property value. So we believe that the district provides support that's beyond the capability of our current association. As volunteer organizations go, it gets harder and harder to raise money. It's harder and harder to get volunteers. So we think the district is what will help keep Beaver Dam Lake vibrant. The hope is long-term that as we have a district, the Lake Association will continue to work in conjunction with that district to make it a very robust scenario for Beaver Dam Lake. Thank you.
My name is Bill Becky. Live in the town of Westford, also on the board of directors. When we decided that we needed, or the Lake Association decided it needed additional organizational strength to meet the needs and challenges that Bill has addressed, we were given, and Mike didn't mention that, but when you form a district, you have the opportunity to decide what the boundaries are and you can go anywhere within the district, within the boundaries of the watershed. We decided to solicit the formation of a lake district only with the properties that touch the lake. And we did that for 2 reasons. One, those would be the people that would benefit most from the lake district, even though the whole community and the whole area will benefit from a strong, a better lake.
And we also did it because of the 800 properties on the lake provides a reasonable tax base, so it is not a strain on any particular property owner on the lake. So those are the two reasons that we picked the district of having it just the properties that touch the lake. We did an extensive campaign to reach all the property owners, and I want to thank the county for their assistance in providing the names and working with us in developing the list, because we were required to get the mailings out to everybody that had a property on the lake. We did a mailing, including everything that was, it explained the Q&A as to what was a Lake District about to the best of our ability. We listed the map that you see out in the hallway was included in that, along with all the properties that were to be included in the district, and a petition that was mailed to everyone at the beginning of the campaign, and then we did several additional mailings in addition to that. In addition, we had 12 open town meetings where we invited everybody that was in the district to please come out, ask questions, answer your questions, give us some information, as Mike did this morning, of what a Lake District, or this evening, of what a Lake District is and why it is beneficial for Beaver Dam Lake. We also, in addition to that, our board meetings held monthly, our open meetings, and anybody could have come, and we discussed it at each of the last 12 board meetings. In addition, we had 2 annual meetings during this campaign which were open. So we tried to get the information out and tried to answer questions. In addition to that, we ended up going door to door to over 300 of the properties, which was a very interesting campaign, and one that I enjoyed immensely, because I found out how great the residents are on this lake and what a wonderful group of community we have, and how proud these people are of their properties and how they care for them and invest in them. When you look at that value that Karen mentioned, $182 million of properties, valued properties on this lake. That's a very big investment that you, if you are a property owner on the lake, have made in the district. So then we went out and we sought the signing of petitions, and I'm very pleased that when you got a chance to talk to people and answer some of the myths that were out there, we got very, very good support. I talked to over 200 individuals, and I received over 70% support from those individuals. So it was a very meaningful program and campaign that we put on. Just a couple myths that came out during that, and that I'd like to at least mention, and that was a big concern that the Lake District was now going to have control of the zoning of how big of a house you could make, how large, and etc. Lake District has no control over the property owner's property, nor do they on the lake shore. That is all DNR regulated or zoned by the county. So to dispel the myth that we're going to be controlling the zoning is incorrect. The other thing people kept saying, well, we don't need, the DNR manages the lake, we don't need another organization. That's a myth. The DNR does not manage the lake. The DNR works with lake property owners to determine what the property owners on that lake want. And that's why our district is so good, because it includes all the property owners that have a voice in what they want with their lake. The DNR is a resource for us and provides the funding where necessary to help us with that. But they do not individually manage each of the 10,000 lakes. I heard a lot of people saying, well, you're going to try to form a sanitary district. No, we are not forming a sanitary district. That is a separate thing. Some lakes have that. Fox Lake has that. There was a lot of confusion over Fox Lake and Beaver Dam Lake. We are not forming a sanitary district. We are forming a lake district for management of the lake. Then we got the property owners, the cost would be hundreds and $500 per property. I heard that many times. Well, as you've heard many times here tonight, the property fee that is going to be assessed to each of us as property owners is determined by us, the property owners. We get to determine how much we want to spend on a lake. And as Mike mentioned, while he doesn't have any exact figures, I have figures that I've read that the typical lake district in Wisconsin pays somewhere between $20 and $60 a year. That's typical. Doesn't mean there aren't higher, and also as Mike mentioned, there's a lot of lakes that don't charge because they get grants or other sources. And finally, I was accused of saying that property values would go up if we had a district. We dispelled that myth. We said just the opposite. If we don't get a lake district and the lake continues to deteriorate, we could lose property values. There was a study at the University at Bemidji up in Minnesota that 50% of the property value of your property is based on the quality of the lake in front of your property. So that's why we're working so hard to increase that quality of the lake, which we so much want to enjoy. We feel that the key reasons for developing the district is we as an association don't have the necessary structure nor the financial strength to do what the challenges, to meet the challenges that are in this lake. Number two, all property owners get to vote and get to decide what wants to be done and gives them a vote in the management of the lake district. And as said many times, the budget is controlled by us, the property owners. A lake district provides a majority of voice against detrimental actions. There are some actions that the DNR could propose, etc. If we have a lake district, we have a much stronger voice to get the majority of things done and to stand up to what anything that we might feel is detrimental to our lake. We have a much stronger voice with a lake district. And the lake, as we said, will continue to deteriorate if we don't take strong actions to move forward with the corrections that can be done. We have some plans. We've talked to many of you about those. There are some excellent plans on the drawing board that can be moved forward, but we don't have the strength of an association to do that, where the Lake District could do it, and we've got plans that are ready to go. Before Ms. Nash, the corporate counsel for the county, mentioned that the board makes a decision based on 4 things. And those are, one, that we have over 51% of property owners signed the petition. We have that. She said that. The Lake District is necessary. I think we've told you that the lake is very challenged. As Bill said, it's declared an impaired lake, and we need necessary actions to go beyond the capability of our lake association to do this. Also, very important point. I've worked with the DNR for many years now in the association, and they kept coming to us and saying, "You really wanted us to work with you? We need a lake. You need a lake district. Form a lake district." And we look more favorably on lake districts because we know they have a method of matching our grants, which are needed. When you get a grant, you've got to match 10–20% of it. We say, "Oh yeah, we're an association. We'll raise some money and match that." They can't trust that. So that's why they have been telling us for years, please form a lake district so that we can work with you closer.
Bill, are you almost done?
I have one point.
Okay,
And
one
we'll be
more.
done. Thanks. We're just 1 minute over, sorry. Then finally, the public health, comfort, convenience, necessity, and all those things have to be promoted by the establishment of the district. Certainly, as Bill mentioned, our toxic algae can kill animals and be harmful to the people. We have to address that for the health of the community and the people that live on the lake. And finally, that the property in the district will be benefited from the district's establishment. Certainly the Lake District will make you a better quality lake, which we'll all enjoy more, whether it be fishing, the aesthetics, or whatever part of it that you and I enjoy as a lake owner. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to review the procedures for the public hearing. I got a whole list here, so if everybody's got cell phones or if they would mute them or shut them off, it would be appreciated. Okay, this public hearing will be conducted in an orderly fashion so that all present have an opportunity to provide testimony regarding the proposed Lake District. The testimony will be recorded by video, audio, and court reporter so that a transcript can be made of the public hearing. The audience can, if you would please refrain from talking while the testimony is given. If you wish to speak, please complete a registration slip at the entrance.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this freaking thing. It's either that or off that menu. I don't know how to do that. Anybody got that hammer?
What in the bucket of water?
Turn the electronics off.
Okay, when your name is called, please step to the mic and state your name and address for the record. Speak clearly so our recorder can catch the name and get it correct, so that the court reporter can record the information. Please spell your last name. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to provide testimony. Please address the Land Resource and Parks Committee, not the audience. If you are not here when your name is called, your slip will be put on the bottom of the list and we'll call you later. Speakers will not be allowed to defer unused time to anyone else. The full-time allotment does not have to be used. If you don't need the 3 minutes, don't use them. At the conclusion of your time, the chair will alert you. I'll probably just go like that. Please step aside from the mic. You may speak only once. The committee may take a break at around 8 o'clock, and that's coming quicker than we thought. This is not an interactive process. The committee we will not be answering any questions or asking any questions. After everyone has been provided an opportunity to speak, the clerk will summarize the written statements she has received. After written statements are read, the chair will ask one more time if anyone in the audience would like to make a statement. The public hearing will be closed and the committee will select the date of the next meeting. This will not be a public hearing, it'll just be between the committee. You're welcome to attend, of course. Agendas will be posted on the county website and are open to the public. So with that, I'm going to read the public hearing notice. Notice is hereby given in accordance with section 33.26 Wisconsin statutes that a public hearing will be conducted by the Dodge County Land Resources and Parks Committee on the petition for the formation of the Beaver Dam Lake District on Thursday, October 3rd, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. or shortly thereafter in the first floor meeting auditorium room FGH&I of the Dodge County Administration Building, 127 East Oak Street, Juneau, Wisconsin. At the public hearing, all interested persons may offer objections or criticisms or suggestions to the necessity of the proposed district as described by the parcel identification numbers attached to this notice, and to the question of whether their property will be benefited district made before the date set for the hearing. File a written objection to the formation of such district with the Dodge County Clerk, first floor, Dodge County, Wisconsin, on Administration Building, 127 East Oak Street, Juneau, Wisconsin. On September 10, 2019, a petition was filed with Dodge County Clerk requesting the establishment of an inland lake protection and rehabilitation district pursuant to section 33.21 Wisconsin statutes. Lands affected by the said petition are parcels contiguous to Beaver Dam Lake, being located in the townships of Fox Lake, Township of Trenton, Calamus, Beaver Dam, and Westford, and the cities of Beaver Dam and Fox Lake, as generally showing on the sketch of the proposed Beaver Dam Lake District. Attached hereto as Exhibit A, the boundaries of the proposed inland lake protection and rehabilitation district are generally described by the following parcel identification numbers reflected on Exhibit B, attached hereto and incorporated herein, dated at Juneau, Wisconsin, September 19, 2019, Dodge County Land Resources and Parks Committee. And with that, I got the petitions. Let's see here. And just a couple pages, so I'm going to be reading a little longer. Submitted with this letter was our 744 verified petitions supporting the Dodge County Board's establishment of the Beaver Dam Lake District under Chapter 33 of the Wisconsin statute. Each signery is an owner of property within the proposed district as defined in Section 33.01, Parent 9, Parent AR, or the referenced spouse of such an owner. The petitions are numbered.
Spousal such,
What?
spousal such,
Reference spouse of such an owner.
thank you.
When the petitions are numbered and sorted by township, city, in parcel ID, or with the exception of petitions 741 through 744, which were received after we sorted by tax parcel and are in a separate folder at the end. The Beaver Dam Lake Improvement Association conducted an exclusive program to inform property owners about the proposed lake district and solicit support for its formation. That program consisted of 3 phases. 1, letters were sent to all property owners with attachments showing the proposed lake district, the reasons for the formation of a district, a petition, and a return envelope. 8 public meetings were conducted with property owners who were invited to get more information on the proposed district as well as ask questions. 12 association volunteers visited property owners personally at their Beaver Dam Lake homes. The effort to establish the district was also discussed in numerous articles in the local paper and updates and articles in the Beaver Dam Lake Improvement Association newsletter, which was mailed to all 1,095 lake parcels. It was also presented at the association's annual meeting and at the monthly board meetings, which are all open to the public. The association membership overwhelmingly supports the formation of the district, as indicated by that fact that 94% of the members eligible to sign have signed the petition. Under Section 33.26, the county is charged to consider a lake district petition signed by 51% of the qualified property owners. A careful review of the 2018 tax rolls of the towns of Fox Lake, Trenton, Calamus, Beaver Dam, and Westford, and the city of Beaver Dam shows a total of 1,381 persons eligible to sign the petition. Of those, we have learned of 23 listed owners are now deceased, leaving a total of 1,358 potential petition signeries. The 744 petitions submitted with this letter thus constitute 54.8% of the eligible signers. The boundaries of the proposed district include some territory within the city of Beaver Dam as required under Section 33.24, Parent 2, Parent A. The Beaver Dam City Council approved the inclusion of the portion of the proposed district within its jurisdiction by a resolution adopted April 16, 2018. In the meetings with the property owners, most agreed that the structure of a lake district provides stronger lake management, with all lake owners having an opportunity to participate and give greater ability to leverage state and federal sources of protecting and improving Beaver Dam Lake. Our association is aware that the statutory timetable for proceedings to form the Lake District requires speedy action by the county board and staff. We stand ready to assist in that process as you request. We appreciate the county's consideration and hope the district can be established promptly and begin its important mission of protecting Beaver Dam Lake for generations to come. For additional information or questions, please contact me. I think it's Bill Betke or something like that. His number is 920-210-0349, or by his email, which is billbetke@yahoo.com. Sincerely, Bill Betke. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. And attached to this is the Beaver Dam Lake District verification of the petition and all the parcel numbers. So it was all included. So with that, I think our clerk has make a statement regarding a mailing and publication.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On September 20th, 2019, I mailed the notices of public hearing with exhibits to 918 proposed Lake District residents and the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. The public hearing notice with exhibits was emailed to Capital Newspapers on September 19th, 2019, requesting an insertion in the Beaver Dam Daily Citizen on Monday, September 23rd, 2019. I received a proof of publication affidavit from Capital Newspapers on September 25th, 2019. The proof of publication affidavit states the public hearing notice was published on September 23rd, 2019.
That's all I need from you, I guess. You have one more thing?
I think so. Don't you have that?
Clerk, to make a statement regarding verification of signatures.
Statement regarding verification of number of signatures, valid signatures in excess of 51%. On September 10th, 2019, I received a petition from Mr. Betke, B-O-E-T-T-G-E, to form the Beaver Dam Lake District. With assistance from the Land Resources and Parks Department and Land Information staff, the petition and signatures were reviewed, and we have concluded that the petition contains signatures of more than 51% of the landowners in the proposed district.
Thank you. Okay, just a few, when you want to come up and speak, we have the slips of paper, who's going to call? When the first one comes up to the mic, the second one should be standing behind, and when that one comes up, another one should come behind, so. Huh? Oh, we're going to call the names. Go ahead. Oh, I thought I did that. Yeah? Okay. Public hearing is now open. I thought I did that already.
The first one to speak is Dick Trapp. We are reading these in the order that we received them. The first one is Dick Trapp. On deck, if you want to come up, please, and stand over this direction, will be William Betke. You can go right into and step right to the mic.
You're number one, I guess.
The on-deck person can stand up this way, so we can make sure that we get people running through this in minutes.
My name is Dick Trapp, T-R-A-P-P, 9192 South Sunset Point. I'm against the district here, and there was a date. When they were due, signatures were still being allowed after the date, and signatures obtained and verified as being on the 2017 tax roll were verified by the person. Supporters visited and revisited people to get them to sign. What about people who have moved? There's no place to say no on a petition. Why are all property owners with the property touching the lake going to be taxed in a proposed lake district? Should the whole area be included? Even the members of the county board were not aware of this. Studies being done. Water samples were taken from Beaver Dam Lake itself. They were taken from two streams, not the lake. Lake Erie, a major bloom of algae, caused authorities to warn against drinking tap water in Toledo, Ohio. Salem, Oregon, a warning was issued about the toxics in Salem water supply. New blooms happens every year in Utah, Ohio. These things are kind of like the canary in a coal mine. According to Steve Corporate from Tulsa University, he also said it's going to get worse, and it's going to get worse in a big way. Lake Okeechobee has been trying to change things since 1985. In 2000, the state's own scientists concluded that there had been no improvement at all. There is increasing evidence that the climate change could fuel more toxic algae and blooms we cannot control. Intense rainstorms linked to climate change, wash out nutrients in the lakes, reservoirs, according to Steve Couple, an environmental energy professor at Tulsa University. We could not do about that. Fields are treated with treated sewage. The nutrient-packed sludge isn't formally classified as fertilizer. Did you contact anybody from the DNR, from Jeff Scher from the from the floodplain department, or Robert Davis from wetlands department for a watershed management? If so, when? And who will be the governing body responsible for the fine if it's levied? Thank you.
On deck, Gary McCreary.
Bill Becky, my address is N7540 on Edgewater in the town of Westford. I spoke before, I didn't mean to come up that fast, but my name was there. I spoke on behalf of the Lake Association, etc., and I'd just like to take 1 minute to speak personally on behalf of, as a property owner. I've been living on the lake for 11 years. I picked this area and this lake because I have a lot of grandchildren in the area, and we're looking forward to spending time with them to enjoy the lake. And when I go down to my lake and it's full of algae, and I tell them don't get near the lake and keep the dog away from the lake. And as a district, not a district, but as a association board member, I became very interested in what could be done, and I found that working with fellow board members that things can be done to this lake, and we've done some research, we've got facts, it's not anecdotal as to what can be done. And I'd like to certainly encourage the formation of the district so that we can take the actions necessary so that we all can enjoy the lake, and we can't just stand back and say it's a difficult lake. All lakes face challenges, but challenges are to be met, and they're being met by the best way possible, and a lake district is the best way possible. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Karen Huber, on deck.
Gary McCreary, N8543 Sunset Beach Road. I'm against the Lake District. I think if I read it right, and I'm not the sharpest apple on the tree, we're going to be responsible for liability. And I just can't see that for that number of people. Also, the DNR is not harvesting carp now. They couldn't get that. They were putting out bids, and the people weren't harvesting them. The lake is going to go back to a carp and bullhead lake, or is the Lake District going to have to pick that up and pay to have it done? I just can't see where this is fair, and if worse comes to worse, I'd rather see another vote with a limit on the amount of time that they can collect them. It seemed like they were just going until they got what they wanted. I'm against it. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
On deck, Braden Avertsey. Sorry.
Hi, Karen Huber, W8958 Oak Lane, Town of Beaver Dam. I support a Lake District because I purposely moved to Beaver Dam about 9 years ago, bought a house, wanted a nice place for my friends and family on a lake. The lake was large enough to enjoy, have a good pontoon boat ride, and the community was awesome when I started looking around at all the lakes in the area. I support the Lake District because I see it as a great opportunity to take advantage of the lake management plans that as an association we've identified projects that need to be done, but now you need the support of a district to have the matching funds to get the lake management plan implemented. Thank you.
On deck, David Strilett, sir.
Graydon Arnsey, N5929 Northern Shores. I'm against the district. I grew up in Lake Mason in Briggsville, Wisconsin. Same type of lake, flooded marsh, so to speak. Same depth, 90% is muck, 10% is solid bottom. You can say whatever you want about the management of this lake. This lake runs east-west. The wind is always going to be churning up the sediment. Unless you want to cover 6,000 acres, there's no way to combat that. We the voters in this general election, basically it comes down to is we the voters elect you guys for accountability. Okay. I do not see how another government entity Okay, anybody can use this water, it's public water. Why do the shore owners have the full responsibility for the taxation on this? And like I said, I've had the canvasser showed up to my house collecting signatures, and I've heard them that they have been canvassing the same people. I do have one problem with Michael Engelson and the Wisconsin Lakes Organization. I do believe he's a paid entity that you received your information from today. So you got to take everything on face value to what you heard today. That's what I have for this meeting. Thank you.
John Deal on deck.
Good evening. Dave Strelitzer. I'm at West 10580 Hickory Point Road. A little background on myself. I've been on the lake for 22 years. The last full-time since 2003. I'm a member of the Beaver Dam Lake Association, and I also serve on 3 committees within the organization. So I have a background of what's going on. People don't see what the work that's being done by the Lake Association. When people say that we need to go a step beyond forming a district, I'm all for it. Back in 1974, the state decided and passed legislation, which was mentioned before, to give lake property owners the option to form a district. That was done for a reason. Some lakes don't need a district. Beaver Dam Lake, 16th largest lake in the state of Wisconsin, is at the point now where they need more than what the Lake Association can do. The property owners are also given voting rights, which they didn't have unless they were a member of the Lake Association, which was voluntary. Now they'll have voting rights, and their voting rights makes no difference whether they're here full-time, part-time, they live in Illinois, they live in western Wisconsin, they live in Milwaukee, wherever they live. They have property out in the lake, they get to vote. The property owners have the right and the responsibility to vote for the commissioners and the budget for the upcoming year. This voting right is unique. It's a unique part of government. All right, you don't find this anywhere else where I can live in Chicago and have property up here and I can come up and vote. Okay, it's unique. It's probably the only thing in the state of Wisconsin where you can do that. So we'll have the opportunity to start the voting process probably sometime in early to mid 2020. This lake, this is our lake, and we have the responsibility to manage it ourselves. There will be much talked about this evening, but my point is when it comes time to vote, please vote. Thank you.
Gregory Hine on deck.
These things are always too high.
John Beal, N7418 Edgewater Drive, Beaver Bay Heights. This is my 4th meeting, and I think everybody in the room, just because you're here, has something that they'd like to see improved on the lake. Everybody kind of has their pet issues. But the fact is that the Beaver Dam Lake Improvement Association doesn't have anywhere near the budget to improve a 6,000-acre lake. It takes a joint effort from all of us around the lake. Everybody needs to pitch in their share. But yet, we all understand, too, that we don't want this shoved down our throats. I think all or most of the negative topics have been addressed. There has to be a vote before any money can be assessed. There has to be a vote on any projects that are put forward. Officers are voted in. So nothing can happen without the approval of the board. And I think that was probably one of the biggest issues. And I believe that that has been resolved. So I would hope that we go forward with this and start to address. And quite frankly, I've heard a lot of people who are against the Lake District, but I have yet to hear anybody come up with a reasonable alternative. Not one person. Thank you.
And Owens on deck.
Gregory Hine, N8553 Sunset Beach Road, Beaver Dam. Took these yesterday
No, we don't have
from around the lake, and this is all the water that's coming in Beaver Dam Lake. Perfect time. Coming from farm fields in Columbia, town of Trenton, way up there by Redwood Road and A. It's all funneling into Beaver Dam Lake. And guess what? It's all agriculture. Last year's study with the University of Wisconsin was Mill Creek and Beaver Creek. Beaver Creek, 98% of that water comes from Columbia County. Dead water, they said. Fox Lake's got a lake district up there coming out of Mill Creek. If you go up there in the summer by the boathouse, it's slurp, 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 green water. 15 years they've had a lake district. They haven't accomplished anything. This lake has been here for 10,000 years. Fox Lake, Beaver Dam Lake, and Horicon Marsh. Okay? It was a cattail marsh. Cattails die in the wintertime, so that's all laying on the bottom. You're not going to get this cleaned up. You can't. Now here's the other section. Thomas, when you were reading it before, you said you had 1,195 parcels. When this all started out, we had 1,104 parcels. Now we're down to 800 properties. Where did all these properties go to? And we were supposed to have 1,490 signatures or something, and all we got now is 394. Now I know 20 people died, but, and I also know four people personally that were coerced, pressured into signing this thing. And we have one court commissioner of Dodge County, Mary Bubos. Her father-in-law lives on the lake, and she asked him, you know what this is for? Well, they just said, you want a better lake. And he said, well, you know you got to pay taxes? They didn't tell me anything about that. So how many people are on this thing here? Possibly if they got more literature. You know, we as a group, we didn't get in the paper. I went to the paper and I wanted to get some stuff in, and the guy never called me back talking about this lake. I've lived here since I was born. So I know about the carp, the football fields, the algae. We don't have that anymore.
Thank you.
On that, Richard I can't read it, Trails of McKinley Beach Road.
Eddie Owens,
Is it
W
Kraus
1094
K?
Glen Drive.
Is it Kraus? Okay.
I've been on this lake for 46 years, and it's been good, bad, but this is the worst, and it's getting worse. And one of the reasons, just what he stated here, is the watershed. Farmers used to fertilize in the spring; everything was great. Now they not only fertilize in the spring, as soon as the corn comes up, they throw another bunch of nitrate on there, and that gets washed in. This lake, this is a dammed up marsh. It's never going to be good. And the only way you could make it at least halfway decent, and we can't afford it, would be to dig it out, make islands, and have it down to the bedrock. I mean, that might do something, but this last week I talked with some guys from Lake Mississippi. All four of them, Duffy, Krause, Gallman, Potzlaw, they were talked into this over on Lake Mississippi a few years ago, and they're madder than hell because nothing's done. It's not getting done. All they do is pay more taxes, and I'm just totally against it. Like I say, I've been here in Fox Lake. They were naive enough to think when they put the sewer in that I golf up there, and they said, "Oh yeah, boy, I can't wait. We're going to really have clear water is not clean water." And when you got the phosphorus and the nitrates in it, it's an algae bloom. And it's the worst that's ever been up there this year. So that's not going to do it either. I mean, it's a dammed up marsh. So. And then us up here on the west side, we're unfortunate enough to be in the Randolph School District where everybody else in Beaver Dam pays $10 and something per mill rate. We're almost 15. So, I mean, we're already at a disadvantage. And that guy that was here, he was saying it equal. It's not equal. So I'm just totally against it.
Carla Kuzmevich, you're up, and on deck is Diana Seifert.
Carla Kuzmevich, and 7100 Marlow Road. I've lived in Beaver Dam my whole life, and on the lake about 45 years. Haven't really seen any change, and I doubt very much there's going to be any magic that the Lake District can come up with to eliminate the algae, the bullheads, the carp, the weeds. They've been there forever, and I think they're going to continue on. Thank you.
On deck, Randy Reeschneider.
My name is Diana Seifert, N7450 Edgewater Drive. I'm very much against this. First of all, this isn't a private lake. This is for everybody. I don't know, everybody says, well, suggestions on how to raise money and stuff. Why not some type of sales tax for Dodge County to help all our lakes, not just Beaver Dam Lake? Why not for all of them? Everybody comes over to Beaver Dam. They also go to Fox Lake. It could be several, it could really help more than just one lake in that. And especially as years go along, we have to think about the dam. We have to think about other waterways. Of all this rain that we've been having, this little lake district isn't going to supply all the money that we may need to fix things. And I would like to, before when the first gentleman talked about the minimum, people were saying that they have to pay, oh, you may not have to pay anything. Well, what about the maximum? I didn't hear what the maximum was in Waukesha or Waushara County. I'm sure they had to pay a lot because there are certain times when you really have to put out a lot more money. So I really like to hope people think a little bit and just think about the sales tax idea. I'm not too much into understanding how you go about it, but I do know we had a stadium put up in Milwaukee. I was raised in Milwaukee, but I've lived in Dodge County more than I have down there. So I really like to see you all just think about it. That's one way to get a little extra money and to help with our future. Thank you.
Philip Ritchie on deck.
Randy Reifsnyder, my Reifsnyder, R-E-I-F-S-N-I-D-E-R. Our address is W10093 Spring Road, Fox Lake. My wife and I, we built our house on Beaver Dam Lake in 1983. We loved it then, we love it now. It's up there just the way it is. How is Fox Lake, Mississippi benefited by the Lake District that they had? How available are the grants nowadays? Nothing is given away except there. One time this winter, I didn't count them, a friend of mine counted them, it's up there, up on 2 different landings. That's when you couldn't drive on the lake and stuff there. 180 vehicles were parked at 2 different landings and stuff there. No money was put towards the lake then. And that's our 2 landings that was up in the northeast corner of the lake. Why do just the property owners have to pay? And the algae bloom on Beaver Dam Lake was not a problem this year with their runoffs and stuff there. I don't know, maybe some guys had problems up there, but we didn't over there by our area. And out of 3 out of the last 5 years that I would say have been some of my best fishing since 1983 with the perch and the walleyes. How do some of the meetings go at some of these here budget meetings and stuff there? Is there a lot of bickering between back and forth, or is it just a straight up yes and no vote and stuff there? No discussion? Because we were at some other meetings over at Fox Lake and stuff there, and some were getting pretty wild and stuff there. And we've supported BDLA for a good number of years, and we will up until that's assuming if the Lake District goes through. I guess that's it. Okay, thank you.
Alan Mantle on deck.
Good evening. I'm here representing the Beaver Dam Chamber of Commerce. I'm the president of the chamber, and we're in support of the Lake District. We have looked at the entire Lake District plan. Our board members, when they voted for this, had already seen it, some of them, the presentations 2 or 3 times. So this was not a knee-jerk kind of a reaction from the board. You might say to yourself that the Chamber of Commerce is not the type of organization that's necessarily going to be looking at another taxing body. The fact that this board of directors, representing businesses from all over Dodge County, not just Beaver Dam, voted unanimously in support of this is because of all of the reasons that you've heard stated already about the health of the lake and the need for a vibrant and healthy lake system. And I'm sure you're going to hear more support for that after I'm finished speaking. Specifically, I'd like to address a couple issues related to the economics of this. A vibrant and a healthy lake is going to be a good thing not only for the property owners, but for all the people in this county that use the lake. We've heard several references already about people who don't live in the lake who come and fish in the lake, or they use it for recreation. That's going to be a benefit of quality of life. It's an important thing that we're looking at as community leaders now all over Dodge County. We need to have vibrant communities in order to attract people to live here, to work in our businesses. So big picture thinking, we're talking about businesses supporting this kind of a district because they're looking at quality of life and how do we get people to move to this county and stay in this county and raise families in this county so they have a workforce. Economically, there's a couple of things that a healthy lake is going to do. It's going to improve the tourism that we have to our community. This is money coming from people who are also using the lake from outside of Dodge County. That's a good thing for the community. And then lastly, from an economic standpoint, it was addressed several times. We're talking about the valuations of the properties. It's a critical thing as government leaders, you're representing here in the county, and the tax base that you have, that we maintain the tax base we have. And as much as we can, working in economic development, we want to improve that tax base. Having this district is going to be one way that we're going to ensure that that tax base is not going to erode, and potentially it's going to also improve. So all those are reasons why we supported it as a board of directors of the organization, and we call on you and your fellows when you have the vote to take this, to look to the future and to look at the big picture and support the district. Thank you.
Jim Metz on deck. Jim Metz.
Hi, I'm Alan Mantle. I live at N8439 Sunset Boulevard, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak on this vitally important subject. I'm also a newly elected member of the Lake Improvement Association. At my first meeting, they showed me the list of names that people that hadn't signed the petition, and they kind of threw me to the wolves and had me go talk to some of my neighbors and friends, and got an earful from some that weren't in favor of it. But I do appreciate their ability to disagree without being disagreeable, and that's a thing that we kind of lost as a society, and I really appreciate that. My wife and I signed the petition. We're in favor of the Lake District. We're many great reasons for it, and I'm not going to bore everybody with recapping them. Just tell you what I've got to say about it. We're in the process of building a new home on Beaver Dam, one of 16 that have gone up in the last 2 years, and it's a pretty significant investment in the community. I believe that the Lake Improvement Association, or in the Lake District, will have the opportunity to improve the lake and maintain our property values. I believe it's very important that we have a cleaner and safe lake in our front yards. Lake District will no doubt help save our property values. Another good reason for it is I believe that by not having a lake district, we're leaving a significant amount of grant money on the table. Grant money that could be used to make our lake much better. The majority of the people, the homeowners, signed the petition. The comment was made about the length of time that it took to get those signatures. I believe that's a moot point, as long as the person that signed the petition is the legal owner of the property and has the right to sign the petition. The length of time is immaterial. I urge you to take that into consideration on your decision. Excuse me. That the majority of the people that can sign the petition did, basically voting, and sometimes it's hard to remember that the silent majority. Remember the silent majority when the vocal minority are being vocal. That's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Mike Wissell on deck.
Jim Metz, 1110 Lakeshore Drive, Beaver Dam. I've lived on Beaver Dam Lake for 14,965 days. Our family has fished, water skied, sailed, windsurfed, canoed, kayaked, tubed, swam from our raft, watched fireworks at Tahoe, anchored in the middle of the lake at night and watched the stars, and seen some of the most beautiful sunsets anywhere. I love Beaver Dam Lake and I care about its future. We have to talk about a future in generations, not just in a year or two. It's going to take generations to help our lake, but it has to be started, and that's where the Lake District can help. It's necessary for that, and it's necessary for everybody to have a voice in the Lake District so that we can make good decisions on projects. The Lake District is necessary to fully realize the potential for grants and other sources of funding for projects that can improve and protect Beaver Dam Lake. And I also strongly believe that we will have more influence with legislators and regulatory bodies when we are a district. A Lake District will promote the public health aspects of water activities and recreation. Families, friends, neighbors, they boat together, they fish together, they kayak, they canoe, they water ski. The comfort and convenience of having Beaver Dam Lake is a wonderful resource in our community and our county. Helps people come to our community and stay in our community. And tourism is very important for the growth of our county, and as it's said before, the county, our city, and local businesses. The projects the Lake District can be involved with will help our lake and stabilize our property values. We sure don't want them going down. In summary, please vote yes for our Lake District for current as well as future generations and future Beaver Dam Lake lovers. I hope my next 11,315 days living on Beaver Dam Lake will be with a Lake District.
Joy Murbach. Joy Murbach.
Good evening. My name is Mike Wissell. I own property at 702 Madison Street, Beaver Dam. My family loves to kayak, swim, and also boat. I did say swim. The water clarity has been better the last couple of years thanks to, I believe, meetings that the Lake Improvement Association has had with the farmers, and they're getting together as a group to try to solve the phosphate problems. I support a Beaver Dam Lake District because we all have a vested interest in stabilizing, maintaining, and improving our lake. It's our responsibility to be good stewards of the lake for our lifetimes and for future generations. Wisconsin does have 15,074 lakes, which is about 5,000 more than Minnesota, which claims to have the most lakes. At 6,718 acres, Beaver Dam Lake's ranked number 13th in size. For sportsmen, our lake is very, very good for fishing, whether the walleye, catfish, or panfish. And lately especially, you can really observe the gorgeous sunrises and sunsets. And for recreation, many enjoy boating, skiing, swimming, kayaking, sailing, and jet skiing. Efforts by the Beaver Dam Lake Association have resulted in concerted efforts to minimize the cropland runoff, the rough fish harvest, research to better understand the lake, its water quality, and pluses and minuses of possible improvements. Erosion concerns have been identified. The current Lake Improvement Association is limited by their funding and a lack of property owner involvement. The Lake District will allow all Beaver Dam property owners to be involved through a small annual contribution, voting at meetings, and the ability to apply for grants and other funding that is not currently available to the Lake Association. As a realtor, experience shows that this lake brings in many fishermen, sportsmen, and seasonal residents from outside the area. Lake property values continue to outpace non-lake frontage properties. This positive financial effect on all of the adjacent towns and the cities is significant. Tourism dollars help supply and support restaurants, gas and convenience stores, hotels, bait shops, and many more. And then this money that comes into the community also trickles down to the entire area and all of us in wages and real estate tax relief. An ignored deteriorating lake with frequent algae bloom will over time reduce property values and decrease the current $182 million property tax base. To ignore the lake would be a negative impact on school district, county, and township tax revenues, and also on future attraction of business and residents in the area. The few new dollars that each property owner invests through the Lake District will actually save area residents real estate tax dollars by helping to keep property values up and tax base up with that. Thank you to all of you for your interest that you do show in this process.
I'm Doug Garshinsky. Good evening, and thank you for your time and for conducting this public hearing.
State your name for the record.
My name is Joy Murbach, and I live at W10710 Micard Road, Town of Westford. My husband and I support the formation of a lake district for many reasons, some of which have been already stated, but I want to reiterate them to emphasize their importance. It will benefit all property owners, of which there are approximately 2,000 currently living on the lake. It will absolutely give property owners a voice in the management of the lake. It will provide leverage to obtain grants so we can improve the lake. It will maintain and improve property values when the lake is actually improved. It will allow property owners to vote on an annual budget. It will attract tourism money when the lake is improved. And it will provide a stronger organization to negotiate and partner with the DNR to accomplish improvements in the lake. As you know, and was already stated, Beaver Dam Lake is considerably large and poses unique challenges that I believe only a lake district can address. Ultimately, I believe the most compelling reason, aside from the importance of the lake for human use, is that Beaver Dam Lake has intrinsic ecological and environmental value. It is our shared responsibility to respect and care for the lake so it can sustain a healthy balance of aquatic life, provide recreational opportunities, and support our socioeconomic needs. I implore you, make a recommendation to the county board for the formation of Beaver Dam Lake District. It will certainly benefit all property owners, positively impact the environment, and thus absolutely benefit the quality of life for future generations. Thank you for your time and consideration. Charles Fernack on deck.
Good evening, Doug Garshinsky, G-A-R-C-Z-Y-N-S-K-I, 710 Madison Street, Beaver Dam, on the lake for 30 years. A few of my reasons for not supporting the Lake District. First of all, I believe the water quality of Beaver Dam Lake has been the best it has been in decades, better than Fox Lake, better than Sinisippi Lake, both which have lake districts. I'd like to speak about the watershed. They made the districts. I believe it should have been included the ordinary high water mark. This would have expanded the tax basin, given all those properties do impact the lake. It also would increase the signatures needed to proceed here. Also, if the Beaver Dam Lake Improvement Association needed money to improve water quality, they should have come to the city of Beaver Dam. The city has approximately 17 storm sewers
that directly dump into the lake. The city also collects, on average, $60 a year from each household for that stormwater disposal. Why is the people wanting to be taxed double on this water discharge? My next reason is BDLIA spent 18 months collecting petitions. Their own correspondents asked for them to be returned within 2 weeks on May 1st, 2018. Towards the end of the campaign, I have heard of instances where people were being pressured to sign this petition. If it was a true petition, volunteers should have accepted a simple yes or no and not forced an agenda. Many of these people are older and or on fixed incomes and should not be burdened with an additional variable tax to stay in their homes. Thank you. Please consider these points carefully and advise the board not to support the Lake District.
Ronald Rody on deck.
Charles Fernack, 1404 Hiawatha Drive, Beaver Dam. The last name is spelled F-R-I-N-E-K. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My family has lived in Beaver Dam on the lake since 1992, and I am in my second term as a board member of BDLIA. My property taxes are high and they're going up. Part of the reason that maintains my property value is living on the lake, so I have an interest in maintaining the quality of the lake. And there isn't an active management plan for the lake. Beaver Dam Lake is classified as an impaired lake under the U.S. Government Clean Water Act. And the management plans, as we've heard, have included erosion control of runoff and shoreline loss, reduction of invasives and algae, and carp reduction. Beaver Dam LIA and the Dodge County Healthy Soils, Healthy Lakes have made significant contribution and efforts, but they need additional manpower and funds. BDLIA has been instrumental in encouraging and obtaining funds for individuals to do shoreline plantings, rain gardens, and to control runoff. But individual efforts help, but they're not adequate. Creation of a lake district should help with obtaining grants and coordinating management on a larger scale. I did attend one of the Healthy Soils, Healthy Lakes meetings, and there is a lot of effort being made on the part of many of the farmers in the county to improve the agricultural runoff. My family has enjoyed living on the lake. We enjoy the views. I enjoy paddle sports, shoreline plantings, and the cross-country skiing on the lake. Community events that I have been involved in primarily through BDLIA include promotion of the lake at Canoecopia in Madison, and that's the largest paddle sport exposition in the world. And the Lake Improvement Association and the Chamber have supported a booth there, and that does a lot to promote Beaver Dam Lake and tourism. I've also been involved in Fishing Fun, the Great Beaver Paddle Festival, and the Cardboard Regatta and pontoon rides at the lakes. There's been an increase in paddling activity on the lakes, particularly the last several years, and since we've had the Great Beaver Paddle Festival. And river events are likely to increase with efforts by beaver paddlers. These events provide value for the community and promote tourism. I believe that the lake is a significant asset for the county, and the time for active management is now. I believe that we have an opportunity and a responsibility. I don't expect rapid results in lake improvement, but I think that we really need to pursue this now. Thank you.
Bill Stumble.
Ronald Rody, R-O-H-D-E, W9380 Went Drive, town of Beaver Dam. Live on the far south end of the lake. Lived there for 21 years. Bought my house on the lake because it was on the lake. I wanted to live on the lake. The lake is an extension of my backyard. When I moved there, that lake was pristine. You could paddle out there. You could see the bottom. You could count the panfish. It was full of native plant species, full of native aquatic insects. Paddle, you'd have damselflies all over you.
indication of a healthy lake. Spring duck migrations were pretty spectacular, especially the diving ducks. None of that exists anymore. The lake is murky. You can't see the bottom. You've got foreign invasive plants. Duck migration most years is pretty minimal, and it's not diving ducks because there's nothing there for them to eat. Now, the Lake Association has done the best it can, but it's limited in what it can do. It's limited in its ability to lobby. It's limited in its ability to access funds to address the issues. They know what the issues are. It's carp, it's invasive plants, it's phosphorus runoff, and we know most of that comes from farm fields. And it's shoreline erosion. The Lake District gives us the best chance possible to address those issues. And, you know, some people are upset because maybe their taxes will go up. But the Lake District is like local government at its best. I mean, no money, no taxes get levied. No money gets spent without a vote of the property owners. Now, if they don't want to bother to go to the meetings to vote, I guess that's their decision. But they all have that opportunity to do that. So, for me, you know, the decision's pretty simple. You can, like, say, well, the lake's just going to be a stinking cesspool, there's nothing we can do about it, throw up your hands. Or you can try to do the best thing possible through the best means available and address the problems that the lake has.
Isaac Penton-Maki.
My name is Bill Stengel, 511 North Star Drive, Madison. I'm here as a volunteer with the Dodge County Farmers for Healthy Water and Healthy Soil. And I've been working with the group as a volunteer and working as a crop consultant in the area for almost 30 years now. And I support the formation of the district and the opportunities that it provides in terms of working directly with the farm community on addressing some of the issues that we have with water quality and runoff that's going into the lake system. Up to this point, the Beaver Dam Lake Association has been very supportive of the efforts that the Dodge County Farmers Group has undertaken, and we look forward to the opportunity that the advancements we can make with the Lake District and what that provides in terms of stepping up what the farm community can do to address water quality issues in the lake. Thank you.
Carolyn Aida.
Isaac Penton-Maki, Pentinmaki, W10670 Hickory Point. I'm pro for the Lake District. I'm a fairly new resident, 2015. We moved here from Deerfield, Wisconsin, which is more of a farming community. Now we're living on a lake, and we'd like to enjoy the sunsets and hoping the water quality will improve so we can see the bottom. I actually don't think I've ever seen it. I felt the mud, but I think we need to have the Lake District because it'll help us get our grants, and the DNR will hopefully listen to our plans on improving the lake. And I'm also a new member of the Beaver Dam Lake Improvement Association. Thank you.
Mike Paczynski.
Okay, how do I do this? So, comes out, yeah. Okay, perfect. My name, am I gonna speak? My name is Carolyn Aita.
Put that closer. Just
Closer to what?
to your mouth.
Oh, okay. I live at W1154 Lake Road in Westford. Wow, I've lived on the northwest corner of Beaver Dam Lake for nearly 15 years, and you can tell by my accent, I'm a New York City girl. However, I moved here and discovered paradise. I am very, very strongly in support of the formation of a lake district. We just actually bought the property vacant lot next door, and now I have over 300 feet of lakefront to play with. The most important feature for me of the formation of a lake district is the idea of continuity. This continuity enables us to improve the lake, not as individuals, but as a group, in ways that are inaccessible to us through the Lake Association. For example, as an individual, I have obtained several grants from the Healthy Lake Program for native plant gardening. But a lake district will allow us to go after large grants with the benefit for many, many other property owners. So I feel that a lake district is a win-win situation all around for all of the reasons that we've heard here, plus these very few personal reasons of my own. Thank you so much for listening to this.
John Moser. John Moser.
Mike Paczynski, P-T-A-S-C-H-I-N-S-K-I, North 8503 Sunset Beach Road, Town of Trenton. Members of the board, my thoughts on having a lake district. The work of the Lake District is critical to slow the problems our lake has seen over the past several decades. Doing nothing and allowing the lake to exist as it is not an option. We must begin the process of stopping the cycle of loss and begin to help the lake as much as we can. A lot like Ducks Unlimited, which my wife and I belong, the Lake District would allow us as property owners and stewards of the lake to do more work. The money that we secure as property owners can be matched with state and even federal dollars, much like Ducks Unlimited does across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. With these grassroots dollars, we can apply for matching grants and turn this downward trend into positive, measurable results and slow the problems we all experience every year with the lake and the water quality. We may not solve all of the problems, but we certainly can solve the ones we have and give our lake a better chance to recover. Nature has a way of taking care of itself. We just need to be there to help fix some of the problems that she can't overcome. Thank you for your time.
David Filing. David Filing.
John Moser, M-O-S-E-R, 325 West 3rd Street, Beaver Dam. I am a member of the Beaver Dam Lake Improvement Association Lake Management Committee and also president of the Beaver Dam Lake Development Corporation, which is a quasi-governmental body linked to the city of Beaver Dam. We have our own bylaws and we are incorporated. All of the members are appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council. Over the years, the Lake Development Corporation has supported the Lake Improvement Association in its efforts for fish restocking programs, carp gates, and other programs. As a member of the Lake Management Committee of the BBLIA, I've learned that there is a plan for Beaver Dam Lake. And I've heard tonight not a lot of people, but some people say, you know, the lake is what it is. It was always a bullhead lake, and maybe down the road line, that's what it's going to be again. If nothing is done, that's what's going to happen. But there are plans and there are programs and there are things that can be done. You heard the gentleman talk about the Healthy Lakes, Healthy Soil program. That is turning a huge corner to get the farmers interested in actually controlling the runoff that goes into Beaver Dam Lake. Whether it's at Dodge County, Columbia County, wherever, there is a big turnaround being taken in terms of getting those farmers involved. And there are other many programs that can actually benefit the lake. It is a challenge. It is an impaired lake as declared by the U.S. government and the Clean Air Act. If I was a property owner, I would like a goal of the Lake District to be to get us off that impaired list. Because if somebody was coming to look at my property and Googling around, they'd find it was an impaired lake, and maybe my property values would decrease and the tax money, et cetera, would decrease as well.
I also think it's wise that only Beaver Dam Lake property owners have a voice in what happens with the Lake District, because everybody, in a sense, has the same self-interest. And the lake property owners, at the annual meeting and at any special meetings that are called, you, the Lake District property owners, are going to have the final say of whatever is done or is not done to Beaver Dam Lake. You will be in control, and that's a good place to be. Remember, what the state and the DNR giveth, the state and the DNR can taketh away. And the Lake District is the best way to protect against that taketh away part.
Archan Shremet. Archan
Dave
Shremet.
Feiling, F-E-U-L-I-N-G, West 9179, South Sunset Point. In deference to Mr. Metz, our family's been on the lake 20,900 days. And we've water skied, we've sailed, we've used canoes, we've used paddle boats, we've used anything you could think of on the lake. And I will say the Lake Association, the lake is probably the best it's been since the 60s when we were on it. We could actually water ski and skip across the muck 2-3 times before we actually fell in the water. That's how thick it was. And the only question I have with the Lake Association, I just feel that they've taken too long a time to get all the signatures that they did. It's over a year and a half. Just in Sunset Point alone, there's been 9 houses that have changed hands in the last 3 months. 9 houses. And so those people didn't get a chance to vote on it, but they will be stuck with the bill. The other problem I have with it is I own 2 lots, which just seems crazy, but it's 79 feet. I would get to pay twice. A close relative of mine has 700 feet of shoreline. He has a $500,000 home, and he'll pay the same amount. Now, if our values go up 10%, can you see the difference in value? His place is going to go, whoop, my place is going, and I guess that's probably the biggest problem I have. Thank you.
Dan Keys. Dan Keys.
My name is Arshan Shramek, S-R-A-M-E-K. I live at M8461 Sunset Boulevard in the town of Beaver Dam. My primary objection to the formation of the Lake District is how it's being proposed to be paid for. My primary reason is that I believe that public waters belong to everyone, and that is the responsibility of everyone to take care of them, not just a handful of people who live next to the water. Beaver Dam is a public lake, not a private lake owned and controlled by the people who live on its shores. Many sources contribute to the problems that the lake is suffering. For example, the farm field runoff, which has been mentioned, both natural and chemical. It causes more damage to the lake than lakeshore residents do, but they pay no penalty for that. Everyone benefits from whatever improvements will be made, including the businesses in the local communities, who will pay no contribution to the running of the Lake District or the hotels or those kinds of things. It's not just the shoreline residents, so everybody should pay for it. Everyone uses the lake, including out-of-towners, not just the shoreline residents. I and nobody in my household fishes. We don't boat, we don't hunt on the lake, and so I don't want to pay more fees because I don't use it. So I suggest that you increase user fees instead. If the Lake District is formed, the lake will eventually be managed or run by just a handful of people because people don't tend to vote. Yet those handful of people will determine the cost and management at the lakeshore residents' expense. I already pay higher taxes because I live on the lake. I already pay taxes on schools and technical colleges and for recent school improvements for many years to come, but I don't have children, so I don't want to have to also pay more taxes because I live next to the lake when I don't use the lake other than to enjoy its natural beauty. I already have extra expenses living on the lake, including maintaining the shoreline, so I don't want more expenses. The busiest time on the lake is the summer holidays when all of the noisy jet skis and motorboats and drunken partiers are on it. I don't want to see more of that because it disturbs the natural tranquility of the lake. The lake is shallow and must be kept that way to avoid property flooding like we experienced in 2004 and 2008. Our shallow lake is basically a flooded marsh, and I never expect to swim in it. With climate change, we can expect more flooding. I recently visited Lake Michigan and saw that the shoreline is being eaten up dramatically by lake level rise. That can be a detractor for property sales of lakeside homes and low-lying properties. Lakeshore property isn't necessarily the attraction that it always was because of that. And also the property owners across the lake don't have any responsibility for the finances in this. I strongly encourage you to vote no and find a more equitable solution for everyone.
Mike Pietrowski.
Hi, I'm Danny Keys, K-E-Y-E-S, N9007 Lakeshore Drive. And yeah, it's true, you know, we got algae, we got milfoil, we got a muck bottom lake. You know, if anyone listens to the news, they'll hear that Madison Beach is closed, Madison's got milfoil, Madison's got blue algae bloom. All lakes around Wisconsin have these kind of things. Sometimes it's not what's said, but what's not said. Some things like the impaired lake. We've heard about the impaired lake. Well, I know the PDLA actually went after getting the impaired lakes qualification so that they're available for more grants. I know that with the lake plan, the Lake Association can follow the lake plan. There's nothing that says that it can't. Anything written in Chapter 33, the Beaver Dam Lake Improvement Association, or an association can follow, other than taxing the people around the lake and the Lake District, and regulating. Now the formation of this, with they got a polished act going on. I went to a lot of the meetings for this petition, and all you have to do, if you want to have carp removal, all you have to do is say you want the carp removal. All you have to do is for catfish, water level. All you have to do is show up and say, voice your concern, this is going to happen. But you know, what's not said is that all these projects that a person work on cost money. It's like Puckagee Springs. You want to work on Puckagee Springs, it's going to cost $250,000 to fix it. 1,000 property owners, that's $250 per property, right? I mean, it's easy math. Meetings were tailored. It was a sales job. It was a sales job when farmers were present. They talked about farmers were present. They talked about the property owners. When the property owners were present and the farmers weren't, they said the farmers are polluting. When the farmers and property owners were there, they're talking about it's all coming from Columbia County. So I would say that we have a dichotomy here. Even if it's 54% that are in favor of it, there's going to be a lot of people that are disappointed in the Lake District if it is approved. They'll be disappointed because all those promises, false promises, that this is all you have to do, and what was not said is the money that it costs. I believe that a tax parcels on the lake is not the watershed, just like everyone else. Everyone that has talked against this, the Lake District, I agree with. And I would like to thank them much for coming up here and talking. That's all. Thank you.
Becky Claiborne.
Hi, Mike Pietrowski, N7522 Edgewater Drive in the town of Westford. We've been on the lake now for 512 days, so we're relatively new. Completed construction on our home in early 2018, so we've made a big investment, and I'm very happy to be on Beaver Dam Lake. My wife and I have 3 young children and a new puppy. So we are very concerned about the health of the lake. We, can walk out back and just certain weeks you see the algae, and it's the pea soup that the DNR says don't let your dogs go in, don't let your kids go in. So we want to be here for a long time, and we'd love to see that cleared up. So the water visibility, the water quality, those are concerns of ours. The carp in the lake, it's a concern. We'd like to see the fishing improve. The kids love it out there, so. And I feel like the Lake District is the best option I've heard so far. I've talked to many new neighbors and a lot of people that have a stake, and the Lake District makes the most sense. So by improving the lake, I think we'd see our property values increase. I think Beaver Dam becomes a more desirable area to live. And I think we'd see a cascading effect on the quality of area schools, commerce, and other measures that will improve our family's life. So thanks for your consideration.
Mark Wagner. Hi there, my name is Becky Claiborne, Clayborn. I live at W10312 Sunny Point Road. I'm an avid kayaker and bird watcher and appreciator of nature. My husband is a fisherman and a hunter, and we are members of the Beaver Dam Lake Association. Really appreciate everything that Lake Association has done. My husband's on the board. And I do think that they have done such an amazing job of putting together their plans and testing the water and really trying to take into consideration all of the community's interest in the lake, and that they still need more oomph. We need a little more oomph to get some of these things done that we want to do, especially since it's an impaired waterway. It's not one thing that's causing the impaired waterway, it's a myriad of things. There's not one solution. There's not one town or one city that's going to be able to fix it alone. So we really do need to all come together to help figure out a solution, a series of solutions. There's so much potential for the lake. I'm really interested in how we can improve the lake quality and make sure that we're able to enjoy the lake, not just the lake owners, but the entire community, how the tourism can increase and the increase in economic development around that. And of course, I'm interested in our property values and making sure that they don't go down. We do need a strong base of funding, and I'm excited about the Lake District being the most participatory democratic piece of government I've ever seen. We actually get to vote on everything, basically, and what it takes is people to actually participate. I don't think that we'll have enough power to actually make change on the lake just individually. We can all change how much fertilizer we're using, we can all change how many native plants we have, we can do better runoff, stormwater runoff plans for our property. But really, in order to have a lot of power, we all have to come together collectively in our community and participate in this government entity to make sure that we are taking care of our lakes. We can't just throw up our hands. We have to get serious about this for ourselves, but also for the future and for our entire community. Thank you very much for listening. Cindy Warden.
Good evening, Mark Wagner, N8587 Sunset Beach Road. I am a member on the board of the Beaver Dam Lake Improvement Association. I doubt there's anything I can say any more tonight that hasn't already been said. I simply wanted to rise and say I have support for forming a Lake District and I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Cindy Warden. I now have then Mark Hazelbaker.
My name is Mark Hazelbaker. I'm an attorney from Madison, Wisconsin. My office is at 559 D'Onofrio Drive in Madison. And I've been retained by Mr. and Mrs. Trapp to ask on their behalf to speak in opposition to the formation of the district. Gentlemen, my experience goes back to 1983 when I was hired as the attorney for the Wisconsin Counties Association. I've done a lot of work over the years with Dodge County, Ralph Sharp, and many people. I've been a county administrator. I've seen a lot of government come and go. And I'm reminded when I hear people talk about creating a new level of government with new taxing of power and new strength to get things done, something that Gerald Ford told us many times when he was president, when he said, a government big enough to give you everything you want is strong enough to take away everything you have. Now, that's simply a reality of government, that it always seems to want more money, more power, and more from the people. My concern about this district is that it's been, in effect, gerrymandered to create a base to get it started, but it doesn't really have a funding base to take, nor does it encompass the real scope of what's responsible and what needs to be addressed for this problem. And indeed, I don't think any lake district can do that. We do need to solve problems with our state's lakes and waters. The people that are proposing this have the right idea, and their heart is definitely in the right place. That's not the issue. The issue is that until these problems are assigned to governments that have the capacity to really address them, and I think frankly that they belong at the county level with the funding and the power to take care of them, they're not going to get resolved. We're talking about creating an entity that would have the maximum capacity to generate $455,000 of annual levy. And that's certainly better than nothing. It's certainly better than the bake sale model that the Lake Improvement District has been following. But is it up to the scale of the problem? No, it isn't. Problem ultimately is that by making Band-Aid solutions available, we really avoid the need to confront the reality that these are watershed scale problems that involve fundamentally the way we grow food, the way we distribute food, the way we use land, the way we develop our cities and have untreated stormwater generally going into lakes. Until we give a unit of government that has general purpose jurisdiction, and the county is the one that comes to mind, the authority to balance the interests that are involved, to regulate the activities that are causing these problems, we're not going to solve the problem. We're just putting a Band-Aid on it, and this is nothing more than a Band-Aid. Frankly, I have not heard of any mass movement in the United States or the state of Wisconsin for more government, more governments. Thank you.
That's all? Is there anybody else wants to speak that didn't sign up? If not, Karen, you wanna? Huh? No, you can generalize it. Sure you read it already.
As far as correspondence received in my office, I received 12 letters for the Lake District, one by John Reeder, one by Dennis Pohl, Penny Pohl, Dale and Arlie Gonering, Barbara Youngworth, Pat and Connie Fanti, Dean Golden, St. Lyons, Mark Wagner, Chuck Frenak, Jerry and Nicole Huff, and Jean Mazuski. I received 31 letters against. Joel Welsh and Jim Busby Jr., John and Janet Carlson, Linda Garland, Nicholas Benji Shields and Megan Harrington, Gary and Michelle Newman, Scott and Sarah Jolwitz, Brenda Swagman, John and Janet Carlson, Brenda Swagman, Dick and Diana Trapp, Pam and Wayne Grant, one that was not signed, Archan Shramak,
Greg and Judy Hine, Tom and Patrice Bashinsky, Diana Seifert, David Wildenberg, Raymond and Leanne Terriaka, Dennis Hampton, Jerry Nice, Alfred and Rita Bork, David and Joanna Stoizer, Bruce Belf and Laura Belf, Pat Clark, Dorothy Knopf, Barbara Perschke and Fred Lewick, Randall Link and Jeffrey Link, Greg Nails, Ken and Linda Beal, Ray and Leanna Teriyaki, and then I received a letter with a question. Those will all be provided copies to all the committee members.
Thank you.
I'm terribly sorry. I got an email to them. Didn't give any info. Is it acceptable yet?
Sure, bring it up, give it to us.
I appreciate it.
How many did you have there, Karen?
31 letters.
Thanks, Lily. Okay.
31 against, 12 for. One with a question.
Okay. We will incorporate all that into the public hearing record, the public hearing notice, the petition with exhibits and signatures, the clerk's statement regarding the mailings, publication, and verification of signatures, and written statements submitted by the clerk. We will incorporate into the meeting. Then I'll close the public hearing.
Before you do that, I'd like to request that the letter that was written that was unsigned be removed from the nay, because if they didn't sign their name, you can't count that. And also the one that was a question that was against, that should be removed as well.
The question was signed by Kathleen Monroe.
It's a question though, it's not a negative vote.
Just a correspondence.
Right, so it should be removed and so should the one that's not signed.
Okay, the hearing is closed.
I had a copy of the resolution we actually passed the chair report. That is a supportive document. Yeah, maybe it's good.
Down and out here. Back.
Excuse me, the committee is going to continue with their regular meeting. If you want to continue your conversation.
I
Was she here from the beginning? That's Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, maybe not How would you know that? Time to leave. All right.
Get your travelers. We got, Dr. Rangate out this morning, the last,
It's got to be on the way.
They said that some of the beams were all on the top of the beams.
When I saw him.
Are you done, Walter, or do you have to stay?
So Ricky, I didn't get the name. He's the guy from the Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, I didn't get his name.
I don't know if you're
I don't think you
we're gonna get it.
Yeah, I thought I was
Karen
for the
does.
public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I think
it.
you're
That's
fine.
exactly.
We're done with the public hearing.
Unless you really.
So how do you? Are you sure? That's just a well, you can't order. And how word is gonna be quick?
Yeah. No, I'm reading all the words.
We're having it this meeting. When are we gonna have a meeting about it? Yeah, I'm sorry. We're not ready.
I think we're
No,
gonna.
that's okay.
I think we're gonna.
There is a statute on how long they can go. Yeah, it's like 3 months. It's, I got a copy of it right here. Yeah, I got it. It's after the, it's on the tax roll, I did third one tax roll, like, it's all done. And if you have any more, I'd like to see.
So I got
Okay.
45 and 32.
Yeah. Oh, he's talking about circulation.
There's money here in the bold letters.
There's no limit. That was four.
But my question is, what has to be on the petition to get circulated? I know what's got to be submitted, what has to be on the circulated? Does the map have to be on it when you circulate it? And was it
It's a
attached?
petition content.
Because people are showing it to me and there isn't.
What did the people sign?
We should talk about that at the next meeting. Yep.
This was all the numbers, all the parcels.
How do I get that?
I know, I got.
Look it up.
Oh,
We'll give you a whole packet for your next meeting.
You'll get a
We'll get it for.
Okay, good.
Well, we gotta set a meeting.
So what are we thinking about for a meeting?
Well, going on, It's
Seventh
too
of
soon.
what?
It's too soon. It's too soon because you want her to have
Time to get
stuff together.
That's hard to put it on 7th.
Yeah, and the agenda's out already.
Yeah, because there's nothing on that.
That was only
That
one,
was the
yeah, there was only
yeah,
one
yeah.
thing and then.
I don't know, you don't know what happened. Why not wait till December? We got the budget hearing and all that stuff coming up.
Yeah, but you
But we're
need
still gonna have meetings.
to, you need to get your report together from
Yeah.
county boards
We gotta look at it.
within 90 days.
Yeah.
And that's gonna take a
Well,
couple
let's
meetings.
put it on the 21st. And we'll see how much we got on it. Not-
For the what day?
For the 21st of October.
That's pretty quick.
Well, see, they gotta get what she did today, and the recording and that stuff. So, that's 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
I get it.
But then
busy.
we'll have our, it's gonna rain.
No, it better not.
It doesn't snow.
Regular meeting?
All right. Do you want to take a couple days, or you want to just start with that?
Do you guys want to go other than our regular meetings, or otherwise we've got to
We might have to.
till November 4th?
I mean, are we gonna talk about information and the deal and all of that?
Yeah.
We might need to do this
You have to create a
just on its
report
level.
to the board.
We might have to.
We have to defend your meeting next week. I mean, it's they're coming in to see the hell out of people coming in to do a lot of stuff. People are running down. In October, November, there's not a lot of people that are running out for
I don't know.
Well, I thought you
It
said
starts
the
pretty
agenda
early.
was all well last.
No, that's the next meeting, and that's the next meeting, it's the meeting after that.
Bill, why don't you just set it up, I'll be.
So why don't we put it on your regular meeting for the next 3 meetings, maybe?
Sure.
And then we can pull them out if we need to.
If we have to, we can,
Just
if
plan
we don't
for
have
that.
time, we can lay it over.
But not the next three meetings, the 3 meetings after the next
The
meeting.
21st on.
Well, yeah, right,
Okay.
yeah, after that, yeah, correct, correct. So from the
21st,
21st,
4th of
4th,
November, and the 18th.
we'll put a kind of standing, if we need to pull one of them, we can do that.
Or if we get done sooner, we,
We don't have, right.
the last one, you know. We were, if we can, it would be nice to get it done in December. You know, because a lot of.
I agree, that's what I thought we were talking about.
Well, because February,
I said
sometimes the board
Then
doesn't
we
meet.
give it to the county board.
I didn't know we were gonna meet several times, talk about it, and then
Well, maybe
December
we won't
schedule a
have it.
meeting to make it official.
You can't figure out a county board in February, because a lot of times we don't meet.
I get it.
Or January
I get it.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
In
February is the carryover month, I believe. It's always February.
We always had February, but not January.
Was that what, January? No.
Yeah, because, you know, I won't be there this year. We do have it in January. I'll be in Florida.
Again?
Okay, someone will make that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
21st, okay,
The motion is what?
To make it for the,
to discuss.
so 3 meetings after the next meeting.
For discussion.
21st, 4th, and 18th. And you second my motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
How's Larry tonight?
I haven't heard Paul Larry. I've dropped him.
People talk to her.